for everything today. But so anyway, the first step in making biochar is converting anything that has carbon in it into charcoal, and you do that through a process called pyrolysis, which is the heating of a material in the absence of oxygen. So the challenge in this was to try to make a little demonstration unit that was going to do this fast enough so everybody could see how this works. So this is kind of what I came up with. So I just used a tin bucket. These are, I think, $9 at a local home center, and a paint can that you can also buy empty, but if you happen to have paint cans at home, these are great because they seal tight, and so that gives you your oxygen-free environment. But when you heat the wood in here, what you're doing is you're releasing all the volatile organic compounds in here. So this does build a pressure. If you don't vent the pressure, you're gonna have a lid that's gonna go shooting up in the air like a rocket, which is kind of cool too. But it's probably well, yeah. I mean, everything inside will just start burning. And, so I actually had a couple of ways of doing this. I tried one way by using a piece of conduit, and I drilled a hole in the lid, and there's fittings with conduits, electrical fittings. I was like, great, this is gonna be easy. So I got the thing put together, got it all burning, and then I realized that the fittings were made out of cast aluminum, and the fitting just melted. So that didn't work out. So the alternate solution was to use a copper pipe and just not use any fittings at all. So basically, this is the lid. I used a stepper drill bit, which is really handy drill bit.
What is that drill bit?
It's called a stepper bit.
Stepper
bit. So the first one is a 1/4 inch, and it kind of goes up in 16th inch increments until you get the right sized hole.
Is that for any material? What kind of material? You can use it in metal, obviously, right?
Really well in metal.
Okay.
You can use it in wood. It tends to kind of burn things a little bit, but it's really handy if you're going to be doing any kind of metal work. Yeah. Cool. They're not cheap, but you're getting multiple drill bits all in one.
Ooh,
so this one in particular goes up to 7/8, which just happens to be the perfect size for a 3/4 inch copper pipe. So I got the hole through, and this is what the copper looks like before you drill it out and burn it all up. But what the advantage I have in doing it this way is that I'm able to rest the pipe on the bottom and then just slip the lid over the top, and it'll just kind of stand there. So no fittings necessary. The only modification you really have to make is you want to drill some vent holes so that all the gases, as you're cooking this stuff, kind of go into the vent holes and out the top.
Is the size of those holes important?
It is not important. Kind of gauge it and you kind of test it. You're trying to evacuate pressurized gases out of a closed container. So kind of going off of that, you get into as many holes as you can, I suppose.
So what size holes are those?
This is a 1/4 inch. And so that would be the first step on the stepper bit. Again, I'm not trying to push this bit because you can get yourself with, but these are really handy.
I love it.
This is just a small.
This is a demonstration unit.
But if someone were going to take this, say you use bigger barrels.
Everything here can be scaled up, and so so you still want the exhaust stack sticking up above? No, and in fact, I can show you exactly how much you're going to get out of it because I have some pre-made. So I ran this thing yesterday. This is the charcoal that you get out of it. You're basically getting just a little bit of charcoal in there. So this is a demonstration unit only.
So if you were going to do it bigger, would you have to step that up? Would it have to be a bigger pipe?
I think the diameter should still work okay.
Okay.
Because now you're running the pipe through a larger column, so you could put more of these vent holes all the way around.
Okay.
And it still allows the gases to escape, and you can still rest it in the bottom of the can. I've seen guys use vent pipes and just kind of bolt it down to a lid.
Okay.
You could get really creative, and there's a ton of videos on this stuff. If you look up, not so much biochar, but if you look up a process called wood gasification.
Oh.
All right, so this is actually what this part of the process is wood gasification. This is something that they used back in World War II when there was fuel shortages.
Wow.
To run cars on. So this is one of the byproducts. There's several
Huh.
like byproducts that come from this process. They're really handy to have.
Huh.
One of which is the charcoal, which is, you know, cool all on itself because, well, this is activated charcoal and you can eat it. Don't eat too much because it does pull stuff out of your body. This actually absorbs like toxins or whatever that's in your body, but it'll also pull nutrients out of you if you eat too much of this.
Yes. Some people will use charcoal like that after having, say, CT scan or something where they
Really?
put like radiated stuff in
Huh.
your body and it'll help to detox.
Wow.
So another great use for this stuff is as an air filter. This is an air filtration material because in essence what you're making is a carbon sponge. This is like an empty vessel waiting to be filled. So you can use this for air filtration. You can also use this for water filtration. Obviously you want to break it up into smaller bits and you just run your water through this and it pulls just about any toxin out. Believe both biological and chemical. And you know, obviously you can use it in the biochar as part of biochar. So another one of the byproducts out of this is you're going to get a flammable gas. That flammable gas is all of the volatile organic compounds that were in the wood. If you condense that gas, you will get something called a wood vinegar. Wood vinegar has multiple uses. Again, you can look it up on YouTube. They got videos. Some people actually take it internally as like a vinegar and claim health benefits. I'm not making those claims because I don't know. Other people use it topically as an antibacterial. Some people use it to amend garden soil. And as a pesticide.
One of the things in there is methanol, which is not healthy to take into.
So again, this is information that other people claim. I'm not saying one way or another. But
What did you say was in there though?
One of the gases is methanol.
Methanol.
Right.
oh, in the
Okay.
gases, yes. So what?
Which is not healthy to take into.
To breathe in, or
Swallow, either.
anything.
Make you blind, right?
Well,
Methanol.
Methanol.
so
Yeah.
the methanol is in the smoke. There's several gases in there. There's a carbon monoxide gas.
Well, it's-
Obviously, you don't want to breathe carbon monoxide either. There's carbon dioxide. There's some free hydrogen. Methanol is one of them. Am I missing something? Probably something really important. But anyway, so yeah, those aren't healthy in there. But what I'm talking about is actually pulling the moisture out of the exhaust. And that's what becomes the vinegar. So the methanol, as far as I know, still passes through as a now somewhat cleaner gas. And if you further get the sort of impurities out of that gas, you can actually run an internal combustion engine on it. So the process itself is really useful.
Wow.
Okay, so the way I did this, and I'm just going to use the old can. These paint cans have a plastic liner on them. That plastic liner does need to get burnt off. I would recommend doing that first. Run it through a heating process empty, and then you'll have nothing but metal left. Okay, so the way I fill this is just put the pipe in there, start putting the wood into the little chamber.
Does it matter what kind of wood?
It does not, because once this process is done, it's not wood, really. It's not like a specific wood, it's just pure carbon.
But I guess you're not want to use treated wood scraps.
Well, I think the gases that come off of that would be pretty nasty. So yeah, I would try to avoid treated wood. But again, in the end, theoretically, it should be free from any kind of impurities. It should just be, I mean, this is, I'm not going to claim that it's 100% pure carbon, but this is about as close as you could get it at home, I think.
Now, do you use about that same amount of wood that you used to what you have in this other can, the spirit can?
Yeah, I was actually much nicer in packing it the last time, so we're probably going to get a little bit less. But yeah, this is definitely not a big unit. the concepts, you know, obviously you could scale this up. The concepts kind of stay the same. You know, you want to create your oxygen-free environment. You want to have your stock material in that environment, and you want to be able to vent off the volatile compounds, the ones that can be vented off. Okay, and again, just for demonstration purposes, I made something that's kind of sort of a rocket stove, but not really. In any case, it's small enough to kind of play with.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so, you know, might as well just kind of show you. So, like, started off with this bucket. You drill. You can use a soup can for this part. I just happen to have some sheet metal, so I kind of screwed that on. You can use a soup can. Cut your hole for the soup can to fit in relatively tightly, and that's just a place to feed the wood stack. So,
Okay.
like, you know, when you're feeding the fire, it's just easier to do it through there. It also allows the can to take oxygen in and kind of stokes the fire to a higher temperature. It's also good, but probably not 100% necessary to kind of keep this up off the bottom of your burn chamber. And so to do that, I just poked a couple of holes through the side, and this is a ceiling suspension wire, so you should be able to get this at local home centers. It's a heavier gauge, but it's used for suspended ceilings, like the crucible ceilings in offices. It seems like it's pretty durable. It's pretty thick in any case. So, yeah, that's about it. Let's see if we get the fire cooking here. This is my favorite part.
Yep.
Now the fire is simply a heat generation source. There's nothing chemically about the fire that's important for the pyrolysis?
No, you can use, if you have a propane burner, if you have like a little propane stove or something like that. You can
like
probably
camping
use
stove?
Camping stove.
I got one of those.
That would work. You know, obviously you're kind of limited by size and weight
Yeah.
on a camping, so you don't want to
Yeah.
smash your camping stove, but you could do it. So I've done this, and we have like an outdoor fire pit that's kind of a bell shape and it's kind of deep. And I just made a closed chamber out of one of these things. Wasn't 100% airtight, and still came out with charcoal. So it's not an exact science. You can do pretty well with just getting it close.
If it wasn't airtight, then the gases are leaving.
Yeah, and so you're looking to do that anyways. All right, so get some kindling in here. And I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna use some kiln-dried construction lumber that I happen to have an excess of, just because it's useful stuff. So if there's scrap on a job site, I just grab it. I don't know if you call it like a design principle or something. It's a little bit loosely based on a rocket stove design. Again, YouTube is a wonderful source for information. But rocket stoves are high efficiency stoves that,
Yeah, if you had another, Tom, if you had another lid with a bigger chimney on
chimney?
it,
Yeah.
and that one over that, that'd get that thing cranking.
wind.
You don't have a piece of pipe in your trunk, do you? Just a piece of pipe would actually help.
No, it would.
Where
know,
would you put that?
Actually,
Just hold it over the top of this thing to get a chimney going, and it'd accelerate
so
the heat.
yeah, so that's it. That's the only thing that's missing, is like a taller chimney for the burn chamber, and that has the effect of really sucking the air through the bottom, and it it revs up the fire
Okay.
to some really high temperatures. That's another fun project.
The other thing it does, it causes complete combustion.
It does,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Whereas this will maybe only half will actually carbon burn.
Complete combustion. That means.
Drive it all the way to CO2.
Okay. Oh.
So there's a lot of carbon monoxide coming off of that.
Uh huh. Because it's open.
Yeah.
It's because of oxygen.
Just because of all the air coming, it cools it too quick.
Okay.
If you get a hotter flame with the chimney, burns all that up, man. All that smoke gets burned up.
Is there a way to calculate how big your stove
think any of that matters really. It's gonna once you get a chimney going,
You might want to step back
it's
a
gonna
little bit.
be
The flames
right,
kind
it's
of.
gonna just take the air from wherever. It'll actually pull that
It's already smoking.
fire from his feet like right up in there.
So yeah, you can see Merlin just it's already kind of starting to. The first sort of smoke that you're going to end up seeing is mostly water vapor, because even though it's kiln dried, it still has, well, it can have up to 15% moisture content.
So if you were doing this at scale, you'd want to burn off the outgassing stuff, right? Because that is a lot of pollution in there, right?
Well, so there's several, several uses for this thing. You could maybe feed this back into the burn chamber, right? So that's one option. Another option is to run it through a condenser, which is just a container that allows everything to cool. And you'll probably get some creosote and some of that wood vinegar that I was saying earlier. You can also push it into a water bubbler. So you would push this pipe into let's say a jar that has some water in it. And you would push that into the water and have an opening on top of the jar that allows the now clear gas to escape it. You could find a way of collecting that. You could run a generator on it.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, you could really get creative with this thing.
Wow, I have no idea.
All right, now at
All
some point,
because of fire.
at some point, you're gonna see the chimney catch on fire. Again, one of my favorite parts. It's good. It's like a little rocket. And once that happens, now you know you're going to be burning off the actual volatile organic compounds, the part that's actually flammable.
And so right now we're still at sort of like step 1, which is to make charcoal.
Yep.
That's not biochar.
No. And so this is where it kind of irks me a little bit, because the term gets used interchangeably. If you were to take this, the charcoal, and if you were to bury this into your garden bed, you'd kill your bed for about a year.
Wow.
This is a sponge. It's going to suck all the nutrients, all the minerals, everything out of it.
Okay.
So maybe while this is kind of rolling along here, one of the comparisons made to biochar is the terra preta soils of South America. Apparently the indigenous population there made something similar in pre-Columbian times. The ingredients that they were able to discover in that soil was the charcoal, but it also had broken shards of pottery and manures. So obviously the manures were part of the fertilization process, but the broken pottery, that's our mineral component. And so the next steps in this process here is you would take this, you would mix this at a 2-to-1 ratio with the high quality compost. It might be a good time to add our minerals at that point. Add the water and let it sit for, some say up to 2 weeks, some say even more. But you want to charge this stuff with the biology and the minerals and the nutrients, and that's what actually makes it biochar. So this is char. The bio part gets added in the compost pile. Put it in your compost pile. That's another good spot for it.
You could leave it in a compost pile for months, for example.
Leave it over. I've had it in there over winter. It just once it's colonized, once it absorbs everything it's going to absorb, it's sort of, maybe I need to take a step back, because one of the things that happens here is that the lignins and everything that kind of gets heated out of here leaves openings inside this.
Yeah.
So you're increasing the sort of surface area of your material here. So now instead of just being able to measure this as your surface area, all those little pores become the surface area. That's where all the colonization and all the absorption happens. So once this is full of the minerals, and you're standing in the smoke, probably the worst part.
Yeah, it's all right.
But anyway, so once this is charged up, now you have all these tiny little pores and cracks and crevices that are holding a lot more than a given volume of biochar holds more of the good stuff than a given volume of soil.
Yeah.
For that reason.
Okay.
And so, anyway, after your 2 to 3 week charging period, this is where you would actually mix it into your soils.
Yeah.
And that sort of gives your soil fluff It gives your soil stability.
And it probably helps to allow more oxygen to be, because
Absolutely.
it's creating that space.
Yes.
It's a chunk. There's
Yeah.
more oxygen as well as the other good stuff,
Yes.
the biologies.
Yes.
So when you said that 2 to 3 weeks of charging, is there a way to like verify? Is there any way that you could know, or you can't really know? You just have to know that, because like, what if you don't have good compost?
Yeah.
You probably need a
That's-
microscope, like.
You need a microscope
I was going to
Like
suggest
I mean,
microscope. Yeah.
to look at the biochar,
Yes.
Yeah.
And
like
so
break it up a little.
Yeah.
you would slice it.
Look at it under a
very-
microscope.
as finely as you can, and they sell little like the microscope slicers. You just kind of slice
Yeah.
off very thin shading.
I would like to do that,
You'd be looking for bacteria, just like Eileen Ingham did.
just like you would be looking in your compost pile or your soil. Same critters
Yeah.
that she's looking for. So when you were talking about it a minute ago, you said compost, but add some water in it. So are you making like a slurry, like a slushy,
Yes.
and then that's where you're putting this charcoal
Yeah.
in that with the compost?
Yeah.
Like it's more, not a compost tea exactly.
More of I would probably go with something along the consistency of oatmeal.
Okay, gotcha.
So you want the moisture in there because obviously you don't want it to dry out. Biology depends on the water.
Right,
mineral
right.
movement, Ion movement, all that depends on the water being present.
Okay.
And if you're really not sure about it, the best thing to do is test it in a small area. Go through the entire process once. That way you sort of have your steps down pat. Put it into a small raised bed. Track it, see how well it does. If you see, and your plant's going to tell you, if the leaves start turning yellow, you may want to try that again. If you break
It's not
it up.
hot?
Yeah, it is, but I have calloused hands, so please be careful.
Not too hot. Okay.
Do as I say, not as I do, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, but when you break it apart, you shouldn't see anything that resembles wood. And that's how you know that it is a complete process. Handle the charcoal. And, let's say you're trying to crush it up to add to your compost, because I do recommend kind of breaking it up as small as possible. You're going to get a dust coming off of it, black dust. Same stuff, pretty much the same stuff as coal dust.
Oh.
Right? So put it in a bag when
It's
you're
not pet coke. Pet coke?
I don't think so, but it's not a good dust to be breathing in.
Okay.
Right? So either wear a dust mask, use a bag that's going to keep it contained. That's
Okay.
another possible way of doing it. But yeah, that pretty much covers it.
Then your next step is to charge it
Next step
with
is to charge it.
biology.
Break it up, put it in a compost bin, add the minerals, and if you put it in your compost pile, you have a little less control. If you put it into a bin with already finished compost and your minerals or whatever else you're putting in there, you can probably control your portions a little bit better.
Okay.
Again, it's a 2-to-1, 2 compost to 1 part char.
2 parts compost to 1 part char.
And
Okay.
as far as the application rates, apparently, and this is according to John Kemp from AEA, I listened lots of good stuff from that guy, but he says that the greatest results that he get is by applying it at a rate of 25 pounds to the acre. That's
Wow.
not a lot.
It's not, but that's very light.
It is very light. So measurable improvements that's the application rate. Anything above that doesn't hurt, but there's no measurable improvement after that point.
25 pounds per acre.
And that's about all I got for you.
That's great.